Hello, Eastern Michigan University. What is going on? My name is Taquanda Johnson. I'm social media strategist here at Eastern, and we are back with another Black History 365 series interview session. We've been having candid conversations about Black history and paving the way, learning from our past, embracing our future, and leaving legacy. We are all about Black History 365 days of the year here at Eastern Michigan University, and I am excited about each and every person I've had the opportunity to interview. If you have been tuning in or haven't had the opportunity, we have interviewed some of our regents as well as Greg Peoples and a few EMU alums. Excuse me, and we are excited today to be able to get an in-depth look at a former student leader as well as one of our faculty members here at the university and our EMU Today host, Mark Lee. I'll go in a little bit, tell a little bit about him and his experience here at Eastern, as well as within the industry of marketing and journalism. He has a wealth of knowledge, and I know that I'm excited about interviewing him today, and I know that you will be excited about hearing more about him. But before we get into all of that, everyone knows the disclaimer, and if this is your first time catching it here we go. Today's conversation is about Black History 365, which means that if you have any questions outside of that, we ask that you not place them in the comment box, but email us directly at social_media@emich.edu, and we'll make sure that those questions get answered. But today, we are all about Black history 365 days of the year here at Eastern. Again, if you have any questions that's outside of today's topic, we ask that you submit those to social_media@emich.edu, and we will make sure that those get answered or forward those to the respective parties to ensure that your question is taken care of. So without further ado, I'm excited about interviewing Mark Lee. Just a little bit about him. He's the president and CEO of the Lee Group, an independent integrated marketing and consulting firm here in the Metro Detroit area, where he trains and develops organizations in the area of branding, rebranding, and communications. He is an EMU, a proud EMU alum. As we know about Mark, Mark also has his own radio show. So this right here is a treat because I'm an amateur starting this thing compared to Mark. Mark does this every week on Detroit's WXYT 1270, and it streams on radio.com as well as in the conference room with Mark Lee on 910 Superstation here in Detroit. Like I mentioned before, he is an adjunct professor here in the marketing department at Eastern. He also is a guest lecturer at Boston University. He's also taught at Walsh College and some other colleges. His spotlight has been on WXYZ, as well as being interviewed in Detroit's PBS, American Black Journal, and Michigan Matters. And he is the creator and host of our beloved EMU Today that airs on Comcast. He holds a master's degree in marketing from Kellogg Graduate School of Management at Northwestern University. And of course, he got his bachelor's here at Eastern. One of the greatest things I love about Mark is that he's candid about his experience, not just being a student leader when he was on campus, because he served as student body president. He'll tell you a little bit about that, but also as an adjunct professor, and then what he's done even on a track field. And there's just so much to Mark Lee, and we want to make sure that you get a chance to get to know him just as much as I know him. So welcome, Mark Lee.
All right. Well, thank you. I'm so glad to be here. It's an honor to be here with you, and congratulations on doing a wonderful series.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate it. I have an opportunity of working with you when it came to EMU Today, and also, seeing the individuals that you get a chance to interview each and every week. So it's a great opportunity to be able to have you in my candid conversation seat right here on Facebook and YouTube for this series. So thanks for joining us.
Absolutely. My pleasure.
So tell us a little bit about, now I know I read your bio, and I tell individuals all the time that it's best heard from the individual who lives it, right? So tell us a little bit about you, Mark. Who is Mark Lee?
Well, Mark Lee was born and raised in the great city of Detroit, and as I like to say, the west side of the city. I will be west side.
Okay.
I'm west side. I'm west side, and I grew up in Detroit. Now, okay, I'll give you some little known facts. I grew up in Detroit during the Motown sound, and
Nice.
Lawrence Payton of the Four Tops was my next door neighbor. I was a little known fact. I was Aretha Franklin's paper boy, and
Wow.
then
That's
let's see,
so cool.
Marvin Gaye lived around the corner from Legend. So I grew up in the city, in the 60s and the 70s. And then I ran track in high school. I did fairly well in running track. Went to Eastern Michigan University, EMU, as an alum. I have a bachelor's degree there, from EMU. And I ran track, as you referenced earlier. I was
Mhm.
also elected president of the student body during my senior year, 1981-82. And I'm never going to unpack some of that experience. 25 plus years in corporate America, and I was fortunate enough to get my master's from Northwestern. But I started, at the lowest level in the marketing area. And I'm talking about at entry level positions, and I
Mhm.
worked my way up to senior vice president of major corporations, iconic brands that you may have heard of, including AAA and a subsidiary of General Motors and some other organizations across the country. So that's a little bit more about me. And I'm just pleased to be here. I've been teaching now at Eastern for this is my 8th year. I've been teaching in the College of Business, and I absolutely love it. I love giving back, and I just enjoy the university. And lastly, as you referenced, I do host EMU Today TV, and we are in our 4th year of hosting that program as well.
I remember when we first launched EMU Today, and it had never failed. Every time we launched, it was you and I and Walter and whoever our guests were, and the team, and it was it was definitely a fun experience. So it's exciting to know that we're now hitting 4 years of doing that and being able to take, as I say, the Eastern culture and what we're all about, beyond just as I say, cross street.
You know what? People ask me, how did I come up with the idea? This is a true story. I'm a proud alum, as I referenced. And bottom line is every time I would turn on the news or something or see something publicly, we weren't always shown in the best light, if you know what I'm saying.
Right.
And so
Mhm.
one day, literally, I was watching the news and I came up with the idea after watching this news story. And I remember putting together a PowerPoint presentation. I literally mapped the entire concept out and I sold it to the university. They loved the idea. And I said, I want this. So here's the catch. I want it to be a general interest TV show that's 30 minutes, but it has to be student produced. It has to
Yes.
be student produced because it's another opportunity, as you know, for students to learn. And I was the co-host. I am the co-host. Before the pandemic, we always had a student co-host, and I'm
Right.
proud to say that some of those students went on to work, at major media platforms across Metro Detroit, across Michigan. So part of the educational process, people love watching the show, but more importantly, it's another educational opportunity for our students.
Yes, I love it. And if you have not had an opportunity to check out EMU Today, after this, you can go ahead and reach out to us and check out our YouTube page, where all of the latest EMU Todays are right there on our YouTube homepage, available for you to relive the experience with us. So, and then also, Mark, you're part of a fraternity, right? We don't, we
There's
don't
only
want
one.
to listen. We don't want to leave that out too. You're all modest and
Okay,
everything.
yeah,
Like,
right. And people are surprised that you're right. I don't really talk about a great deal. It doesn't mean I'm not proud of it because I let my work speak for itself, essentially.
yeah,
But yes, I'm a proud member of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated.
let them know, Mark.
Uh,
Let
December
them
4th, December 4th, 1906. And,
know.
we were founded at EMU June 5th, 1959. I crossed the burning sands March,
Uh-huh.
March 31st, 1979.
I
So you
love
can,
it.
yeah. There's
I
only
love
one
it.
fraternity, right? No,
Huh? What'd you say?
there's only one fraternity.
Oh, Listen, you about to start something in the comments. You're about to
No,
start
you know what?
something in the comments. Don't let Regent Simpson come at you next.
I know we just hey, you know what? I'm just kidding. We love all the fraternities and sororities. They're all
Yes,
doing great things, and I mean that in all sincerity. They are powerful organizations doing great things and giving back, and we love all of our brothers and sisters as part of that
yes, we
divine
do.
line. No question.
Absolutely. I can proudly say that now. So yes, we do. So tell us a little bit, we talked about you being a student leader, and you were student body president during the time of your undergraduate years. So let's talk a little bit about that,
Right.
about your experience. I know that you had an opportunity to meet Rosa Parks, during your time here at Eastern. I want to know what you learned from her, because I would have loved to be a fly on the wall concerning that one. So tell us a little bit about your student leadership experience and leading up to, welcoming Rosa Parks to EMU.
So I ran track at Eastern Michigan, and I stopped running track in my junior year. I was encouraged to run for student government, and so I ran for student senate in those days. And then a lot of students on campus were asking me after my junior year to run for president of student body, and so eventually I did, and I won. I won by the slimmest of margins, quite frankly.
Wow.
This is an example where the fraternities and sororities came out and supported me. I literally was campaigning. So a couple of things about that experience before I get to Rosa Parks, and this is Black History Month. You say, well, you know me, I'm very candid.
Yes.
One of the challenges when I was president of student body is I think I was only the second one on campus. I was president of student body when John Porter was president of the university. And so that's another distinguished honor there. But when I was president, I actually got death threats. I received death threats as student body president. And our football team back in those days, we struggled mightily. And we had the second longest losing streak in the country to Northwestern University. And so we were encouraging myself and student government, we were asking the football coach to resign because students were coming to me and saying, we need you to basically step up, if you will. So long story short is we did. We went into his office, asked him to resign. As I walked out of the office, cameras were there. Snapped my picture on the front page of the Eastern Echo. This became like the story of the campus. It made the Detroit media as I was over in national news, I guess. And long story short is that people started cutting my picture out of the Eastern Echo. Ooh. And I got hate mail on campus. I got hate mail. And in a nutshell, people were drawing a fire through my face with a cross, the symbol of the KKK. I was so bad I couldn't even answer the phone. And my roommate would answer the phone calls, and he would go down and get the mail for us in those days. So I'm walking to campus, and I was actually, a couple of students actually, I was walking to Pray Hero. I'll never forget this. I was walking to Pray Hero, and a couple of the students approached me, and I thought they were going to threaten me. And they basically got in my grill. But I kept walking to campus, and I remember Eastern Michigan say, hey, we want to give you campus security. And I said this. This leads into Rosa Parks in a second. I said, absolutely not. I said, I'm a student here like everybody else. I have a right. I'm not going to let anyone threaten me.
That's right.
From class. That's exactly what happened. And then as I got to campus, I turned down the campus security. But I also remember this. I remember saying to myself, what would Dr. King do?
Ooh.
And I remember, he was about nonviolence and peaceful protest. And I literally kept, and I listened to those words. All right. So now in my senior year, after I got through that experience, and by the way, I was very much involved in getting the Rec IM building involved as well. So that was one of my projects, working with Dr. Porter about getting that facility built. But now where Rosa Parks came in is we hosted humanitarian days every single year, which is now MLK days.
Right.
So I was the student leader. I was president of student body. I was elected. And that particular year, I had to welcome Martin Luther King III to campus, Reverend Charles Adams from Detroit Harvard Memorial Baptist Church came to campus. I also welcomed a lady, nobody knows this, Miss Beverly Payne, who worked on WJBK, which is now Fox 2 News in Detroit. She was the very first Black woman in a major market to become a female anchor. I welcomed her to campus. And then last but not least, I welcomed Ms. Rosa Parks. I still get goosebumps when I do that. And so the conversation was very simple. The challenge was for me to spend time with her one-on-one, which I did. I was nervous. I was very nervous.
I would
21
have
years
been
old.
nervous too.
And you got the mother of the civil rights
I would
movement.
have been like on
There,
edge,
right?
like, oh my gosh.
Well, here's the best part of the story. And I was supposed to introduce her at Pease Auditorium. And my knees were like shaking. And I found pictures of Eastern Echo. So we're sitting up there, we're talking. And I said, Mrs. Parks. And I looked at her. She leaned over to me. I said, Mrs. Parks, why did you do it? And she looked at me. And she said, if you didn't remember, she had a very soft voice. And she was like 5 feet, whatever she was. She says, Mark. And I said, oh my gosh, she said my name. Oh my gosh, the mother of the civil rights movement said my name. And she said this, Mark, I was tired. She was from Alabama. She said, I was tired, although she lived in Detroit. I said, you were tired from working today? She said, no,
She was
I was tired.
Ooh.
She said, and I got goosebumps. And at that point, the light bulb went off. Because at that point, I had read about her in the history books. We had talked about it in class, but I heard it from the mother of the civil rights movement. And at that point, I stood up. I was so nervous. I got this power. I got this. And I stood up in front of 1,000 people in Pease Auditorium. I sent you a couple of pictures, and I had the opportunity of introducing Mrs. Rosa Parks. That was probably one of the most heartfelt moments in my entire life. And this is what I learned from her. It goes back to when those students threatened me. Here was a small lady who was a giant. She sat down, but by sitting down, she stood up, and she never once threatened anybody. And think about how many times that she was threatened. And when I look at her in that moment, and that's my connection to Rosa Parks, is that no matter what I've gone through in my life as a student at EMU, no matter what I've gone through professionally, that has always stood out to me. And I learned from her, and I think about her virtually every single day. It's my Rosa Parks story.
Ooh, listen, I would have had chills for her, you know, just alone when you said that. She said, look, I was tired. Like you said, no, from working. She said, no, I was tired. And that is so real. We're going to try to show some of those photos, soon. So it's like you sit up there and you just look at that and you're just like, wow, like that alone speaks volumes. Cause like how many times have we been in situations where we were just tired, right? And needed to, and needed not just to rest, like there's one of them right there with young Mark, as I say. Mark, I think that's the first time I ever seen you with hair.
That's a 21-year-old. Hey, I'm dapper and everything, right?
I love it. I love it. And it's just so so amazing how, and I talk a lot about the experiences that you receive, like, wow, being here at Eastern, like we can legit say that, because I was in the place, because I was exactly where I was supposed to be, because I was here learning, you could say like I met Rosa Parks, had a whole conversation with Rosa Parks. Rosa Parks literally changed my life.
And not only did I meet her and talk to her, and get this is going to blow you away. I heard her tell the story about her and Dr. King.
Ooh.
I mean, think about that for a second. So these are two people that were connected. I really heard her not only tell me the story about her sitting down the bus, which you could go to Greenfield Village and now see, but she told the story about how she met Dr. King. So here I am, a 21-year-old senior on campus. And again, I read about it in the history books, but I'm literally hearing about Dr. King through her. I'm hearing about her personal experiences. Yeah, that just blew me away. So I get very passionate about it.
Yes, listen, that would have blew me away too.
It's emotional. It's emotional.
Yeah, it is, because those are individuals who have literally not just stood for justice, but literally helped change our lives and change the trajectory, of our lives and what we're doing currently. It's because of the fact that she sat, that we're able to sit and do and be in the positions that we're able to be in, to take that rightful seat at the table, because she was like, hey, I'm tired, and she saw the bigger picture. Like that right there, I'm with you. It totally gives me goosebumps. We want to make sure we give folks an opportunity to submit your questions through the comment boxes. We keep it rolling here. Again, if you're just chiming in with us, this is EMU Black History 365, and I am interviewing Mark Lee. So, Mark, who do you feel like has paved the way for you today, especially being that you are a marketer and communications person, at hand and at trade, and you're also an adjunct professor, and you're in the media field as well. Like, I think that being somebody who's in communications and in public relations, like I love looking back at those who have paved the way so that I can do what I'm doing right now. So who has made the way for you so that you're in a position to make the way for the next future generation?
I have been very fortunate to meet a lot of people nationally. I have been very fortunate to meet a lot of impactful people who made an impact on this country and on our city and our university.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, the one person, I tell this story all the time, quite frankly, is my father. My
Mm-hmm.
father, who passed 5 years ago, was and still is my role model. And let me tell you how he paved the way for me. My father graduated with 2 degrees by the time he was 21 years old. He
Wow.
attended Morehouse College at West Virginia State. He studied under the renowned Dr. Benjamin Mays.
Wow.
Morehouse. And but when he graduated in the 50s, he and my mom moved to Detroit in 1957. He could not get a job. He got a job at the old National Bank of Detroit with 2 degrees at 21 years old as a bank teller. Think about that for a second. So he was the first young man who's of African American descent to become a branch manager in that system. But what he did is he became a leader every step of the way. And my father eventually became the highest ranking Black banker in the city of Detroit. He also became one of the highest ranking Black bankers in the entire country.
Ooh.
And at every step, he was the first to do so. So I live with that every single day. And my father is a legend, was a legend in Detroit. People have heard of him. He's hired most of the Black bankers you see in Detroit are here because of him.
Mm-hmm.
There's a guy named Dave Bing you may have heard of.
Yes, we have. Well, at least if you're from around here, you know who Dave Bing is.
Well, Dave Bing, and many people, the younger people forget, he actually played in the NBA.
He sure
and he
did.
was drafted number 2 by the Detroit Pistons. My father hired Mr. Bing when he played for the Pistons. He would tell you the story. He made $18,000 a year. And so my father hired him so that he can get that training experience. And then Mr. Bing went on to start his own company, Bing Steel. And then he was eventually elected mayor of the city of Detroit. And he was recently named one of the top 50 NBA players of all time. So I tell you those stories because my father led the way, and he's my role model. So everything I'm doing today is a direct result of him, and I'm just trying to continue his legacy. And he was a leader in diversity before diversity, quite frankly, was hot. He had been pulling people.
So before it was a buzzword. Before it was a buzzword.
Yes, absolutely. So anyway, my father he's the one I try to emulate. I do.
I absolutely love it. Now, seeing that we, are in Black History Month, and as a consistent theme is that, we've just been expressing the fact that Black history is 365 days of the year. And there's a lot of, yes, there are, different months like February that's set aside for Black history. And then, there's also, Latin heritage and things like that. But one of the things that, I love about who we are as people is that we live this thing out 365 days, right? So for some people, oh, great, February. We're like, oh, great, every day, so it's not. So when it comes to talking about like what Black history, means to us, like this is a daily thing for, for us. And being in the position that you're in as far as in marketing, communications in the media realm, like let's talk about why it's so important to amplify Black voices during this time, and especially within our field.
Absolutely.
And I think that's like really, really huge.
Let me just say, let's just cut to the chase. Black history is American history, period.
That's right.
That's the bottom line. And number two is, and I talked about this on my radio show endlessly. People have called and asked me about it. So as you're watching this, hear me closely. Do not misconstrue what I'm about to say,
That's
please.
right.
I hope and pray one day where there's no Black History Month.
Mm.
Now, hear what I'm saying. We need it. Yes, we do. We need to amplify these voices now. But what frustrates me sometimes is we should be amplifying these voices, to your point, 365 days a year. Because you know what's going to happen is February 28th is going to roll around, the end of the month is going to roll around. Everybody's featuring African Americans as well as they should, and giving them the voice to speak up as well as they should. But what happens March 15th?
Yeah.
What happens June 23rd? What happens September 29th?
Mm-hmm.
See where I'm going with this?
Yeah, I'm with you.
In the ideal world, and I know we need it. I mean, Carter Woodson founded it, and I'm glad that we have it. So don't misconstrue my words here. I want to make sure that's crystal clear. But we have had, listen to what you just said, John Lewis's voice, Good Trouble, was amplified by what he did. He didn't just do things in February, did he? No, he did his entire life. Dr. King, I know that we're using February as a platform, and I get it, to tell those stories.
Mm-hmm.
So don't get me wrong. So bottom line is, yes, it's important that we tell the story. And I'm glad we're highlighting those stories and amplify them in February. But I wish, I hope, and I pray that we amplify the stories throughout the entire year. Unfortunately, we're not there yet. And we have a long ways to go. So I will continue. I totally support Black History Month. Absolutely. I'm not advocating that it goes away, that we get rid of it. Absolutely not. But I'm simply saying, through the natural progression over time, it would be nice that we can continue to do this naturally at any point in time throughout the year.
Yes, I most definitely agree with you on that one. It should most definitely be like we said, 365 days of the year. Like, it should not be an afterthought. I love the fact that you brought up, like, okay, the 28th hits, what happens on the 1st, right? What happens on the 15th? What happens in June, in July? And that's keeping it, as I always passionately say with our GA, that's keeping it 100. Like, you just have to, we got to keep it 100. So I want to talk a little bit about legacy and the importance of leaving a legacy and paving the way for like future generations. Like, how can we Eastern learn from our past to embrace our future? As you know, you've been around during the times of racial injustice, on our campus, and we've come, granted, we've had a very, diverse board, but by far, at least from what I understand, this is the first time I've seen 4, regents who are Black. One, who's clearly, 37 years old, so we have a range, of individuals. So now, our future generation can look, and our current generation can look at our regents and say, like, wow, I see somebody who looks like me. They can look at you as, as a professor here at the university and say, he looks like me. They can look at me while they're watching this live and say, that social girl looks like me, like she's doing this thing, So I want to talk a little bit about, like, how can we learn from our past to embrace our future?
We have to take what happened in the past. First of all, we can't forget that. You can't forget the fact that Mark Lee, as a 21-year-old student, was threatened with his life.
Right.
And don't ever forget that. And I'll be more than happy to share that story, right? But students need to understand, and people watching this today need to understand that's part of our history. It's part of our history, the issues that we've had. However, what we have to do is to embrace today.
Yes.
And take today, build on what we've learned in the past, embrace it today, continue to build a foundation, and take that foundation and focus on the future. You just made a couple of great points. I was blessed. I was fortunate to be president of the student body when John Porter was president of the university. I would tell you that probably not many people would have guessed would ever thought there would be a Black university president and a Black student body president back in 1981, 82.
Right.
Now, I want you to think about what you just said, though. So let's go from 81, 82 to 2021.
Mm-hmm.
We have 4 Black regions. Is that what you said?
4.
We have 4. So that's 40 years in that 40-year window, right? So I applaud Eastern for taking that next step and hiring and getting people in leadership positions at the region level, at the board level, at the administration level, at the teaching level, because you're right. We need to have a university that's a reflection of the communities that it serves. That's what's important. So that's building that foundation.
Mm-hmm.
And as we think about the future while learning from the past, I encourage everyone. This is why I teach at Eastern, a university that I love. It's my way of giving back to those students. It's my way of telling stories to those students. It's my way of saying, okay, when you get into the real world, this is what you can expect. If you've ever taken a class with me, I'm always telling stories. I'm a storyteller. I'm not the traditional professor. Yes, I do lecture. I don't just stand up and lecture, but I engage all of my students. I ask a lot of questions. So when I'm going with this conversation, as we think about the future, is we do it with the understanding that the country is still challenged.
Mm-hmm.
The country still needs to get back and help young people. And our university needs to continue to focus on the future and develop an environment that's truly a representation of the entire community it serves. If we can continue to move down that path, we will continue to build our legacy for Eastern Michigan University for generations to come.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Well, Mark, I'm so glad that we're able to have this conversation. Thank you so much again for sitting down with me and talking about Black History 365 and how we can move the needle and pave the future for future generations and learn from the things that we learned from our past. As we heard today, just like Rosa Parks was tied. Sometimes you got to take a stand and be tired too. So I thank you for sharing those moments with us today. Thank you everybody who is joining in to today's conversation. Again, you can drop your comments in the comment box and we will make sure that we address them accordingly. We're excited about being back here tomorrow at 12 o'clock with Regent Ford, who will be joining us. So again, thank you again, Mark. Thank you to all of our viewers today. And we look forward to being back here tomorrow at 12 o'clock. Have a great day, everyone.